All right, so we're working late in the shop. Again, this is Project Living the Isetta Dream. If you notice, the Isetta is still up on the lift. I'm still doing menial things like cleaning and scrubbing the frame. It is getting there, but let me turn the light on. It's taken a while. Oh, I have it plugged in. If you notice, let me focus the camera here. I've got the chain case out, which is basically the rear end. So we have our little drive shaft. I think I explained once before how the factory drive line is out of alignment. In other words, it's canted a bit, and there's these rubber donuts called Gleebows that absorb the kind of off motion. I maybe can explain them better to you down here. So these are called Gleebows. And this is our drive shaft, and there's a Gleebo on each end of the drive shaft, something like this, somewhat like a drive shaft sandwich. Goes like that. I've got it backwards, but so there's a lot of flex. Those donuts take a lot of flex, and you can see they're starting to show. You see the cracks in there. These ones actually in pretty good shape. There's a pretty good crack there, but sometimes they'll split right in half, and that is the demise for an Isetta, because then the drive shaft gets all wonky and it digs into the transmission case or digs into the chain case and it starts leaking oil, and then you're really out of luck. This hobbled a lot of Isettas back in the day. So what we're going to do is we got our leaf springs out of the Isetta. We're going to, I haven't figured out how to do this yet, undo these clamps, take the longest leaf, 2 leaves, and drill another hole about 1 inch back. And what that does, it brings the whole axle assembly closer. We can use a shorter link like this, and then use these heavy-duty drive couplings because the drive shaft will be in perfect alignment. So it's a win-win. There's less resistance because we don't have to twist these old Gleebows. And it should make the car roll easier, make the engine work less hard, and gain more speed. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that's one thing that I'm working on. I'm getting ready to drill my springs. Somebody was asking, how do you do that? So I'm going to do an in-depth video on that next time. But I just want to let you know I finally got it apart. It's still pretty greasy. You can see the amount of grease. That's what the whole frame looked like. But tonight, moving on, we did something even more spectacular. Speaking of the chain case, here it is. It's in a million pieces. I took the whole thing apart and I rebuilt it. And what I say when I rebuilt it is I took it all apart and I took all the bearings out specifically. Listen to, I don't know if I can do this. You probably can't hear that. But it sounds like an old roller skate on pavement. When I took the chain case out, I spun it and it just didn't feel right. And I just kept going, oh man, what am I going to do? So the hardest bearings to replace were these. This is the tensioner for the chain, which runs in the chain case. And I had to heat this up in my Betty Crocker oven. That's right, I do have a Betty Crocker oven here at the shop to warm up the aluminum to let the bearings out. And I'm replacing all the bearings with sealed units. So if you remember in a past episode, I went through all that work to drill and tap and put a Zerk fitting to grease one of these open bearings in here. This is where the wheel goes. Well, it was all for naught because I'm going to put a sealed bearing in there. It turns out all my bearings were no good. And I think it's just because the car sat for so long, they got rough spots on them. They just feel really rough. So I've got all 3 major pieces of the chain case here. I'm going to glass bead those, and I may, if I get really fancy, I may clear coat them so they're impervious to grease, oil, fingerprints, that type of thing. So I'm at a good stopping point tonight because I got the whole chain case blown apart and I got nice new roller bearings on there, and I've marked everything, and I'm comfortable leaving it in this position for Easter weekend. Did I mention today's Good Friday? Yeah, it is. It's Good Friday. And I'm working late, and I hope the Lord forgives me for sinning by working on my Isetta, but I think it's probably okay. So here we are, another late night, Project Isetta, Project Living the Isetta Dream. I think this is number 13. Stay tuned for more episodes to come. Thank you for watching.